You are live.
All right, good morning. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners work session. It's Thursday, September 15, 2022, 9:02 a.m. My name is Ty Menser, Vice Chair of the Board. Our Chair, Commissioner Mejia, is excused this morning. Commissioner Gary Edwards participating through Zoom, and we have Public Works staff in the house. County Manager Rainier, Assistant County Manager Rodney Campbell, our Public Works Director Jennifer Walker, and Shannon Shula, Ed Marson, and we're going to be talking about Trail Connectivity Program. Virtual attendance for the public is on our Thurston County YouTube channel. We're scheduled for 1 hour. And County Manager, setting us up.
Thank you, sir. I particularly very interested in hearing this particular trail connectivity program. Public Works has been working for quite some time. And this is going to be aligning to more or less to the signature project the Board of County Commissioners set aside money using $3. So this will be an opportunity for the board to weigh in as to what project, and you will hear some options perhaps, and that will be a direction that we would like to have the board provide. Maybe not today, but hopefully soon. Jennifer?
Yes, so thank you. We have been working to identify potential projects. We'll highlight 4 of those and the pros and cons of those, benefits of doing those. And then we also do have one that we are recommending, but there are 4 that we are presenting today. So Shannon and Ed are going to go through those with you now.
Okay, good afternoon, Commissioners. Today we are here to kind of review the Park and Trails Connectivity Program. So a little bit of an overview. Thurston County Comprehensive Plan Parks defines the need for additional public recreation areas and open space to accommodate for the growth. This was the purpose of this was to improve the connectivity by linking the trail systems and corridors throughout the county. The objective of this program was to improve connectivity, bridge the gap between the communities, and provide service to underserved areas in the county. Also to provide trails that are a safe place to walk and ride your bicycle, and it benefits the larger regional trail system. A little bit of background of this, the board approved and allocated funding through the Capital Improvement Program. In 22-23, the board approved these programs, the Trail Connectivity Program, the Trail Surface Preservation Program, Parks, Trails, and Open Space Acquisition Programs, and the Parks Improvement Development Program. All of these have like annual amounts that are allotted to benefit these programs. The primary focus of this one is the Trail Connectivity Program. The board allocated $2 million, $1 million in 2022, and $1 million in 2023. So this map shows our current trail systems. In the blue, we have the developed parks, Fryco, Burfoot, Kennydale, and the off-leash dog park. In the orange are the undeveloped parks, such as Glacier Heritage Park and Woodland Creek Wetlands. In the green are our trails, and in the orange is the historic sites. So it kind of gives you a little bit of an outline of where those parks are located.
And these are just the ones that Thurston County owns?
Yeah, these are the ones that Thurston County owns and manages currently. So when we approached this project, our methodology was to look at all of the current planning documents from the post plan, which is the parks, open space, and trails plan. And so the methodology was to kind of currently look at what the county owns. So we're looking at park properties, trails, and right-of-way. We looked at areas that are Underserved areas, we identified those through our community outreach and through different meetings where people are stating where we need more parks or trails. So we identified those gaps in the trail systems network. And we looked at the biggest impact with those resources and amenities that would have the most overall use for the entire county. And then we looked at those and kind of like, which one of these projects would best align for future grant opportunities? So when we looked at those, we kind of identified, again, going back to what we hear is like in South County, there's a lot of like interest and needs of wanting to have more trails down there. So we looked at those, and then the Bellmore trail comes up a lot. That was a trail that was approved many years ago, and it was, it's currently undeveloped, and there is this need for wanting to actually, see more of a paved surface in that area. So when we looked at the criteria, we looked at this and what provides the most connectivity and benefits the regional trail system, which projects can add trails to those areas, increasing our total trail miles, increasing our level of service, and that provides a safe and accessible trails utilizing that $2 million budget. So we reviewed all of these park trail systems, and what we identified was these 4 projects. These 4 projects were, this is part of the Thurston County Regional Trail Systems, is project number 1, is to identify a trail extension of the Chehalis Western Trail down to Vail Loop Road. Project number 2 was to extend the Yelm Rainier Teneno Trail down to Bakota. And then the 3rd project was the working on the northern part of the Bellmore Trail development at Kennydale Park. And the 4th one is to look at the Bellmore Trail development in the central part near Glacial Heritage Preserve. So Ed will go ahead and start presenting these potential projects. And
good morning, Commissioners. Ed Marson, Parks and Trails Maintenance and Operations Manager. So the first project we're going to talk about is the potential Chehalis Western Trail extension. And the Chehalis Western Trail extension is extending from the bottom, the south end, the terminus at this point of the Chehalis Western, where it intersects with the Yelm Rainier Tenino Trail. There is an undeveloped portion that is approximately 3.15 miles, and that ends at approximately Vail Loop Road. The total acreage of that would be about approximately 40 acres in total. And that just provides an extension of the Chehalis Western to bicyclists, walkers. There is property towards Vail Road that could accommodate a potential trailhead in the future.
Quick question, what is the reference of the acreage? You say 40 acres.
In total, so it's more of a linear track. So, and what I'll do is, that's in reference to our level of service. So you've heard a level of service in the past, and there's 2 references to level of service. There's a maintenance level of service that we've provided to you in the past, and then there's more of a national parks standard of level of service. And what that does is that is a term that describes the amount of park and recreation facilities that are needed to serve the community at a desired and measurable standard.
So if I may, so the 3.15 miles length of the trail, that concludes on an improved 40 acres of recreation.
Correct. Yes.
And the level of service is also listed in our comprehensive plan that we've established at
3 per 1,000 population.
3 what?
3 acres.
I'm
3
sorry,
acres
3
per-
acres per 1,000.
There you go.
We are sitting approximately at 300,000 population, so we would be shooting for that 3,000, or I'm sorry, for that 3 developed acres per 1,000, and we currently have 894 developed acres, and that puts us at 3.13 developed acres per 1,000. So we're meeting that threshold and slightly above that. So anything that we're adding to the system going forward is just helping to increase that standard that we've set.
And to meet the growing population.
And to meet the growing population. Our next project is the that was the. Our next project is the Yelm Rainier Tenino Trail Extension. This trail extension would start approximately in Tenino, where our existing paved trail ends, which is in front of the Tenino Depot Museum and the Tickner School. It would extend towards Bucota and end in the city limits of Bucota, approximately 3.6 miles in total. And this provides connectivity to regional trail system, the Yelm Rainier Tenino Trail and the Chehalis Western Trail. Serves the entire county, especially the South County, improves our level of service and serves underserved areas. We do own park property in that area. We own approximately 0.6 miles is owned by Thurston County Parks, and it ends at approximately 168th Avenue in the Tenino area. And we would be looking at 3 miles of right-of-way shoulder trail going along 507 into Bucota.
There's still some research that needs to be done. This is one of the ones, this project, we probably have the least amount of information, background work that's been done on this portion in terms of what we actually own and what we may need to, if there's gaps that we have and we may need to acquire.
That wasn't in the TRPC study. I know they did a report on this trail when I was on the board a couple years ago.
I think they identified portions, I think
Yeah.
we were, yeah, but
Costed it out, there was cost estimates and different things.
Yeah.
at a high level.
Our next project would be the Gate Bellmore Trail at Kennydale Park Extension and Trailhead. And this would be on the north end of the Gate Bellmore corridor near 66th Ave and Kennydale Park. This would add approximately 0.25 miles, and that would be a connection between Kennydale Park and the undeveloped Gate Bellmore at this time, providing trailhead and parking.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So it seems like if we're gonna be able to properly evaluate all the criteria, we need a map that also shows all the city trails, because we're trying to connect a broader system. And in this particular one, you're looking at it like, oh, 0.25 miles. But I understood that Tumwater had really invested in, what I heard from the mayor of the former mayor of Tumwater, that they'd done a major investment in extending, and there was a missing chunk. And I'm guessing it's this missing chunk that he was telling me about that would then connect. And I don't know, maybe there's more than one missing chunk, but he was really insistent that if the county could prioritize a piece just south of Tumwater, it would connect then to the brewery and blah, 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 blah. And so, I mean, without seeing those city trails, we can't really say what the connectivity value is, because, you know, we're trying to build a whole regional system, not just a Thurston County system.
Right, that makes sense. And just above there, 66th Ave, so Thurston County Parks does own a parcel that goes north of 66th Ave, and there's a trestle there that it approximately ends at, and then I believe the city of Tumwater has the corridor going north at that point, and I know that there has been talk in the future that would extend down to the Capitol area, and then provide those amenities down there. So we can definitely provide you that information.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say up front, like, my priority on this investment is about building a bigger, you know, a bigger vision. Like, this is our chance to try to realize those really, you know, big picture vision concepts that, you know, those are the types of projects, you know, whether it's capital to capital, or, you know, there was gonna be from the brewery all the way down to, you know, Lewis County. I mean, like, chunking away on those, you know, is for me what this is about.
I think you'll find that on the last one, so
Okay.
I think we'll get there.
All right,
And if we don't, you'll tell us.
yeah, I'll be quiet. You guys can go through it.
So then, where are we at here? Gate Bellmore.
Yeah, so this is
Okay.
the,
So right here, we've got a map, and what you'll notice on this map here is that you've got numbers on there, and that comes from the 2019 Gate Bellmore feasibility study. And those represent the existing old railroad trestles that were assessed and part of that feasibility study. So we're just trying to give you an overview of the trail corridor, that right-of-way corridor right there that we're speaking to at this point.
What's the dark red versus the dotted?
these were the different phases that were identified. So the Gate Bellmore is currently broken into like 3 sections. You know, we have it, how we have listed on the CIP, from the northern down to just about 128th, and then we have it broken down from 128th down to what's that, Gate?
Hunter Road.
And this is a map from that study that identified the different phases of the Gate Bellmore Trail.
Commissioner Edwards, I can't see you, so just break on in if you've got a question. Feel free.
Oh, okay, I do have a question. You asked if that the dark pink versus the dotted is part of that paved or not paved. What's the deal? I never heard an answer on that.
It's all undeveloped.
All undeveloped, it sounds like it's 2 different phases of the proposed project.
And when you say undeveloped, though, there's a right-of-way access that we have available already there?
Correct. Yes, right now it's currently a gravel bed. It's the old railroad grade. It is not paved, and we do own that 14 miles of corridor currently.
How does that apply to these other sections that you've, like, say that one off of from Rainier out for, I don't know, 3 miles or whatever it was? Do you already have easements and stuff in place, or do you have to purchase? What's the deal?
For the Yelm Rainier Tenino extension towards Bucota, we own a portion of that route. There would be further assessment as to where our gaps are and what it would take to fill those gaps. Whether that would be improving the shoulder of 507 going into Bucota and making that trail accessible or pedestrian accessible. And then the Chehalis Western that would extend towards Vale Loop is in the same condition that the Gate Bellmore corridor is. It's just undeveloped railroad grade. It would still need some final adjustment and then paving.
But it is already in our inventory, so to speak.
Correct.
I know
Okay.
on that Bucota study that we had at TRBC, I do know they talked about the different kinds of trails you can have and how it would increase the cost, you know, if you were just to go along the road versus having they call it a Jersey barrier or something, like a separated multi-use path that was wider, but it would be off, you know, but then you got probably more expensive, I don't remember exactly, but probably way more expensive because you got a more acquisition costs for the land and et cetera. But anyway, those kind of considerations were what they looked at, you know, because, you know, obviously there's different kinds of trails.
Yeah. Correct.
If
Yeah.
you're going along a road, I mean, this one maybe doesn't look like it's going along a road, so that's even ideal. But
Yeah, this one isn't here. The Bucota one that you mentioned is, and what you're talking about is similar, like down to Lewis County. They've got along I-5 where they have the Jersey barriers, kind of creating that separation between the on-ramp outside of Borst Park there. So.
I think the county.
So in the, when we talk about unimproved trails, is it fair to say that there's different levels of unimproved trails? And the reason that I'm asking is, maybe, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, we invested in the Gate Bellmore Trail to remove the railroad trestles and to provide gravel. And we label as, as unimproved, but also label other areas, other pieces of the trail that we own in the system, also unimproved. I think it will be good to have the difference between what the different levels of unimproved, because that is gonna translate on the investment.
Right.
And how much it will cost us to have a paved trail where the gate Bellmore, we have already invested money to remove the railroad trestles again, laid out the gravel, it's a gravel path, so it will be less expensive to pave it and improve it versus others that perhaps have to start from the beginning.
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
We received a grant a few years ago
Right.
For replacing some of the trestles on Gate Bellmore in preparation for, because we're not gonna do it all in a year, right? So in preparation for the development, the full-out development of that trail. So when we talked about the trail from Tenino to Bucota, and I said we hadn't done as much work on that at first, there's the initial study that was done, but we haven't gone through and done the layout, assessed surveyed it, where we have with the Gate Bellmore. I don't think we have with the Vale Loop, but that one we have the full right of way.
Can I jump in here then, Ty?
Yeah, go ahead.
That section that you were referring to from Tenino down towards Bucota, as I don't know what acquisition entails, but I believe that property is all owned by the railroad all the way down there, isn't it?
So the railroad corridor, our ownership of it ends approximately 168th Avenue down there. And then that turns back into railroad-owned corridor. So we would look at potential alternative routes to get into Bucota.
Okay.
That's why I was saying we don't know everything that we have yet on that, but we knew it would be one that got talked about, so that's why we.
So in this case, I think you mentioned that, Ed, this extension will add 3.6 miles of trail, but we only own 0.25 miles of right of way. Is that right?
Right here, yeah.
This one I think is, let's see. Yeah, 0.6 I believe is what we own,
Okay,
yeah.
so we really need to acquire rights, whether it's in the railroad right of way or within the state's right of way, additional right of way for just about 3 miles.
Correct.
Okay.
Then our fourth project is the Gate Bellmore Trail, and we're calling this Gate Bellmore Trail Central, and it's a proposed park, trail, and trailhead. This location is in the Gate area near Glacial Heritage. So this goes back to our two bridges here. So you can see the location on the screen here of Glacial Heritage Preserve. And we're talking about, up top, there's number 6, and that's identified in the feasibility study as trail or bridge trestle number 6. And this would travel all the way down to trestle number 5 there, and that's approximately 4 miles. And this area it provides connectivity to local rural community and adjacent parks in the Glacial Heritage Preserve there. Serves the entire county and southern residents, Little Rock Gate area. It provides safe and accessible access to trails, would add 82 acres and 4 miles of trail, and potentially improves opportunities for grant funding. And it also is adjacent to the Glacial Heritage Preserve, like I said before, so it provides some beautiful scenic views and opens the potential for access to glacial heritage in the future. when we're able to figure out how to open that up to the public and make sure that it's responsibly used. And they've done a great job. We've partnered with Centers for Land Management, and they've been restoring that prairie, which is a pretty rare natural occurrence in the United States anymore. I believe there's 2.6% left of prairie land left in the United States anymore. And then there is a section there on Mima Road that we could develop into a potential trailhead with parking stalls, a restroom. Then there is ample space for picnic area and potential further development at that point.
But if but like this 4 mile stretch, it doesn't connect to anything on either end. It's just, if it was the first thing we did, it would just be there by itself.
Yeah, it would connect to Little Rock. So just to the north up here is Little Rock. There's a couple of small businesses there. So the reason this was identified was, we've applied for a couple of grants in different places, but it's the trestles that are very costly. And so the idea is if we focus on this 4 miles and connect to Little Rock, it improves the chances for future grant opportunities to connect further south to Gate and slowly tackle those trestles one by one and provide service to like an underserved community, potential biking to the school there. So that was kind of
That's the feedback we've received from the granting agencies, that needing that nexus, that if we had the in-between and connecting from the north to the south, that we would be more competitive in those federal grants that we submitted for but haven't received yet.
Ty,
Yeah. Go ahead.
would this eventually, the plan, bring it into Grays Harbor County as a trail to the saltwater?
It offers potential connectivity to that, and there is the Southwest Trail feasibility study that's running right now through TRCP, and they're trying to identify connections for that South County area, and this has been identified in their study as a potentially viable connection for them into the Grand Mountain Rochester area and south into Lewis County also.
Okay, thanks.
So I just want to make sure I understand. So looking at the picture, you've got from number 6 to down to 5 and 4.
Yes.
And I'm seeing, so connecting that to the bigger map, yeah. So I see that 6, 5, 4. Then what is this 6 up to 10? Because
that's the northern section.
you said that was, the northern section is only 2.25 miles.
No, so on project number 3, and I apologize if I wasn't clear enough. On project number 3, if we go back to that slide there, this is a proposed connection from Kennydale Park to Gate Bellmore, the Gate Bellmore undeveloped or unimproved trail. So what that does is that provides potential funding for property acquisition to build a trailhead and parking for access to the trail Gate Bellmore Trail, but not fully developing that trail downwards. So this is a 14-mile corridor. We're proposing on the central portion 4 miles. So there still would be 10 miles on not on either side, but total trail mileage left. Approximately, I would say approximately 8 miles to the north of this section, which would end on 66th Avenue Northeast near Kennydale.
Then why does the previous slide from this say length 0.25 miles?
Because that's the location from Kennydale Park to the actual trail. It's basically creating a trailhead location because this is all private property. This property heads up to Water, And so it would be creating like a trailhead here,
Access
so then
point?
have an access point here for the northern part to then connect to Tumwater. So it's only that small section.
But the trail going up and down is already there?
It's undeveloped, but we encounter our first trestles up here at 10.
Why would we do that piece and connect the park to an undeveloped section before we did the trail itself?
Well, the idea would be then to connect to Tumwater and have that be like kind of the end point from that Tumwater section.
So getting to that trail, but you said it's also undeveloped north of there. So
Yeah,
how far do you have to go to get to Tumwater's developed trail?
There is no developed trail in that area, on that old railroad, rails to trails grade there. So that is a future consideration for them, but they have not developed on that corridor as of yet. It's still undeveloped to the north there, just north of the parcel we own on, north of 66th Avenue.
All right, so.
Well,
when it says
let me ask a
provides
question.
connectivity- There's one more point. When it says provides connectivity to regional trail system, I mean, it provides connectivity to a future regional trail system. Is it, I mean, that's what you are saying,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounded like, I mean, it's kind of a trail to nowhere at this point, but the concept is for the future. But how far in the future? What kind of maintenance to keep it up? And would it deteriorate before we would ever get it hooked up? So I don't know, just some concerns.
No, you make good points.
So then going to going to this slide, the red. So the dotted piece is, I don't know, it's called phase 2, but it's basically this fourth project, right? It's the Gate
Yeah,
Bellmore
it's-
Central. And then what's the red in terms of your 4 projects?
that's phase 1 of the Gate Bellmore Trail study
not
that
one
was
of the
already done.
projects
It's
that
not
were
one of the
identified.
projects.
So
Because of the trestles and the cost.
Yeah.
Because the trestles haven't been replaced, so,
Okay, so the
right, is that
red
correct?
Yes. So
is a different project that's not on our list of 4.
no,
So-
it's not on our projects, but it's how we have it listed on our CIP. When we refer to the Gate Bellmore Trail, we have 2 projects listed. It's basically everything from 128 to 66, and then the phase 2 is 128 to Gate. Those are the 2 phases. That's how we have it split up on our CIP. So what we did was we kind of broke that down even further to be like, where could we maximize the most without having to go into replacing the trestles? Because the trestles is, that study in 2019 indicated like millions of dollars of replacement to improve those trestles.
The trestles are not needed anymore? They're like from the historical, or are
They
they?
have to be replaced.
Absolutely replaced. That was the railroad, the train used to go on those trestles.
Right, but it doesn't now.
No, but they're obsolete and needs to be replaced. And we replaced a few trestles and.
It's where
system.
They're
it's-
raised up.
There is, they go
It's a
over
bridge.
Yeah,
water.
so it's not like they're removed and then they don't exist any longer. We have to replace them. They're old.
Because
You
they,
can't just remove them and,
no, because they
They're elevated.
they go over streets
Yes.
and they go over creeks perhaps. And
They're all going over creeks and water
okay, so they need
lines.
to exist.
Yeah.
They need to
just-
exist, they need improvement though, to bring them up to standard for a shared multi-use trail.
So the fewer there are, the cheaper the cost of the project.
Correct, yes. And so the map that you see in its entirety comes from the Gate Bellmore feasibility study. And we included that full map to give you context of the full length of the trail and how it runs. So it may be a little bit misleading or confusing to give you that great big section with different color codeds, but that was the map that was included with the CIP. So we wanted to include that, and then we gave you the close-up of it. Yeah, can we go to that next one? to show you the specific section that we're talking about today, which gives us the two termini at 6 and 5. We've identified a 4-mile stretch that does not have any trestles in between it. And then is also adjacent to the Glacial Heritage Preserve, which is county-owned, and also offers county-owned property that would provide a potential trailhead or future developments.
Is in this section where we remove the railroad
Yes, yep.
tracks?
There are no existing railroad tracks for the entirety of the county-owned corridor on this trail.
So is it fair to say this is probably the low-hanging fruit out of all the
Yeah.
potential options?
Yes.
We're trying to get the biggest bang
Right.
for the $2 million.
So if we did,
Aye.
Well, hold on a sec, Robin, and then I'll get to you,
Yeah.
Commissioner.
so if we're not gonna do the extremely expensive piece, then what does this connect to?
Connects to Little Rock.
To Little Rock?
To Little Rock and to Glacial Preserve, and it's like right in, it's a
And
central
there's a
location to
trail in
Lima.
Little Rock that it goes
Yeah.
onto?
Mhm.
And who owns that trail? What trail
I mean,
is that?
it's all county. Oh, I mean, it connects to,
There's a road.
it connects to the road,
Yeah, to the
To
shore.
the road?
to the
So
road.
it doesn't connect to a regional system?
Doesn't connect to a regional system. The idea is you are providing service to an underserved community, it's providing, safety so that when we do start applying for future grants, then we can look at the trestles and look at how much it would cost to replace those. And so maybe it's not connecting currently to North County, but we know that there's a huge interest in South County. And currently there is the Southwest Trail Feasibility Study that's being done by TRPC and the county, looking at alternate or prospective routes with SCJ Alliance for connectivity options from Rochester to Grand Mound. So if you start connecting, right, and you start kind of doing these increments to Black River Preserve, all of these different locations, that makes us more viable for future grant opportunities to kind of looking at them at like smaller sections instead of this larger regional system of like, we need 14.5 miles and we need 10 trestles to be replaced.
And that approach is not unusual over the years. How we developed the trail system has been in pieces. In some pieces over the years, they have only dead ends on both ends. As long as we have provided access to that, you can go either way. And for a long, long time, the Chicago West Trail had those pieces. Pieces on the south, pieces on the north, pieces on between Yelm and Tenino, until we had enough money in grants to start building and closing those gaps. And that's what the last gap that we closed, it was the bridge that we built over Pacific Avenue.
Bridging the gap.
And that really was a very expensive bridge. They really connected the north end with the whole south end of the trail. So for a long time, it was just separated trails. What Shannon is stating is just provide access to a road, not necessarily a trail system, to a road to provide access, but at least you provide 4 miles in this case of recreation. And the Glacier Heritage Preserve adds value to that. And that's what I think is probably the low-hanging fruit out of all the options that I've concluded perhaps, that really is gonna bring value to that.
Commissioner Edwards had a question, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious, how far is it from number 10, if you will, on the map, to Tumwater?
Number 10,
The point number 10 on this one.
let me look there. It should be, where are we at here? Number 10. It should be, that is about 104th Ave off of near Little Rock Road. So it's just south of Tumwater. It might be a mile or two at most to get to the Tumwater UGA.
Right, but has Tumwater got any plans for connecting up there or even through that UGA area? how far is it to Tumwater proper, so to speak?
So Tumwater does own, as I spoke to previously, the northern section or a northern section of old railroad corridor north of Kennydale and 66th Avenue. So we do own, I'd say maybe it's an eighth of a mile of section from 66th Ave north. There's a large trestle there, and that's where Tumwater owns the corridor going north, and they have plans for future development of that portion of trail. So if both entities develop the trail, then they would have connectivity at that point.
Who would have to replace that trestle?
I believe that's Tumwater's property there, but I can absolutely look into that and confirm that.
It's 1.6
No, I'm just wondering how it all fits.
It's 1.6 miles from 66th to Tumwater.
To the UGA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But Tumwater has a plan to eventually connect into Kennydale, right?
Yeah.
That's
yeah, that is the plan.
But they're not able to do so unless our section is developed as well.
right. But the question is when they're gonna be able to be in that position.
Right.
Because I think Commissioner Edwards made a good point. If the county invests on the connection from Kennydale to the future trail, that will be most likely be unused for years until Tumwater invests on the connection to the north.
Potentially, yes.
I tell you what, because nobody's saying anything. How about, where are we at? I heard that we did $1 million out of REIT. Was that for 22 and then $1 million for 23? Did I hear that right?
Correct.
And how about, is the REIT fund good enough for all that? We running into any problems with maybe with an economic downturn or something and less sales, all that kind of stuff? Or is there a projection there that we'll have adequate funding, or is the money already in the bank?
So the money is pretty much in the bank for that $2 million. This is coming out of REIT 2, not REIT 1, and we were searching for a way to make a impactful investment with your REIT 2 money. Something like, we had money when the board decided to do the culvert projects. So we had money, and what can we do with it that would be impactful for the county? And the board chose trail connection projects.
And still, the REIT 2 fund is pretty robust at this point.
Well, I think that folks have come up with ways to spend it.
Yeah.
So REIT 2 is one of the financial plans that we'll be bringing forward the first week of October for the board to take a look at. But it's got money, it's definitely got enough money to cover this $2 million.
Because the board allocated out of the REIT 2, as you may recall, preservation investment in a road system.
Right,
The culvert fish barrier passage. and this Continues in this one time.
Are you guys, I mean, I don't see cost numbers here, so are you saying that all 4 of these projects fit within the $2 million that we have allocated, or where do we stand? Or is there a hierarchy of this one costs 4 times as much as this one?
We have not done that study yet. We were just trying to get direction from the board of like which one of these opportunities seem the most viable so that we can start pursuing that and start those initial studies. You know, and I just want to reemphasize that, you know, we have applied for numerous grants for completing this Gate Bellmore Trail, but one of the major objectives has been that we don't have a terminus. We don't have a starting or ending point. So by creating a middle section and having a location to start, then we can, we can start connecting things. But right now, it's just this undeveloped trail with a lot of bridges that are very costly. So creating that terminus somewhere, even if it's in the center.
So Jennifer, you said we have 13 minutes and I have another meeting at 10. Jennifer, you said there was a recommendation. I'm feeling like I'm hearing you're recommending this
The last
Gate Bellmore Central piece.
I was gonna conclude.
Okay,
all of
Ed.
Okay.
Take us home, Ed. and then we can-
I've got the punchline.
All right, so in conclusion, we have outlined 4 potential projects that offer improved trail connectivity to the residents of Thurston County. Each of these projects offers improvements to existing county-owned infrastructure, expand the county's regional trail system into underserved communities, increase the level of service to Thurston County residents, and make our future projects more competitive for grant funding. With these criteria in mind, we respectfully offer for the board's consideration, the Gate Bellmore Central project as our recommendation to move forward into a feasibility study.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
As you move forward, do you do things in stages like down around that Rochester area, I guess, a lot of horse activity. Do you do things like have develop the trail, but keep it gravel for maybe 5 years or whatever, get it somewhat prepared, and then it becomes kind of a horsey trail? Do you ever approach it that way?
That's
The
what-
horse.
And in fact, Commissioner, this segment, the staff has recommended is exactly what you describing. We, a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, we removed the railroad tracks. We put gravel, and right now it's gravel.
Correct. So yes, we do keep those in mind. I know that TRPC in their Southwest Trail feasibility study, they have gotten a lot of feedback on that from people that would like equestrian use. They've raised their concerns about paved trail versus, a more natural surface for the horses themselves. We do have equestrian use on the southern and northern end of the Chehalis Western. So north of 26th Avenue in the South Bay area, we do have regular or semi-regular horse or equestrian use. And then south of Fir Tree Road, on the Chehalis Western, we also do have equestrian use down there, not quite as often as the north end and South Bay though. And then Yelm, Rainier, Tenino, it is a frequent sight to have horses out there using the trail.
But those sections are paved, right?
They are paved, correct, and really, they don't have much choice on those, and I think if they had their druthers, then it would not be paved, but they are still thrilled nonetheless to utilize that as kind of a safe linear corridor to ride those horses.
On your slide 14, where it says phase 2 between 6 and 5, are we to understand that that is already developed and in gravel now?
Yeah, so that is, it's the trail from Tumwater to Gate is in the same condition. It is all had the tracks removed and it is down to gravel base.
And is it being utilized today?
Not officially. So there is local access. We do have the trail signed as closed. We do not promote use of the trail for liability reasons.
But people use it.
But people do use it. Currently, yes.
Doesn't that also help us with grant applications if we can actually say, well, we've got a trail there and it is being utilized, and right now it's a gravel surface, future paving possibly. So don't we get some benefit from that already?
We could get benefit from that. We would get, I would assume, significantly more benefit from developing a portion of that trail. And
Well, when you say developing a portion, what does that mean? Does that mean paving more? What is a further development that you would say? Restrooms, paving, culverts? I don't know what.
I would say adding a surface, it could be gravel, it could be paved, but developing it and actually providing a safe,
Having
Accessible.
it being more accessible.
correct, yeah.
So far, we haven't been successful at receiving grants for this portion, and we've submitted 3 or 4 different times. And so if we can use a little bit of seed money from the county's money to build this, then as we connect, we're anticipating that we will, this portion, as we apply for grants for the connectivity, that we will be more competitive potentially for
In
future
Shannon's outlined that, that point criteria related to grants, the connectivity is a key element.
Mhm.
By investing in this section, then the connectivity can help in future grants. I think, and I think that has been the strategy for years in developing the trail. Going back to the equestrian access, the whole trail system is open for equestrian access. As a regular user of the trail, I've seen many evidence of equestrian use along the trail. So they use it, and they use it quite a bit.
So I have a question, and I have to go in a couple minutes, but there's the capital thing that Olympia's been working on, and I think there's pieces on the western edge of that go through, like from our Ralph Monroe Trail over toward Mud Bay and then up to Capitol, that it would be county. Are there missing pieces there that would fall in our lap? Were those evaluated as possible choices here?
So I think that the piece in that is the Monroe Trail there, and then the extension from there, I believe that they would plan through Allison Springs, which is all City of Olympia owned property, down towards Capitol Forest. I don't believe that there are any county-owned parcels in that proposed corridor, but I'm happy to double check that.
Just double check that, because that might be it might be a sensible thing to, because I know, they want to go through McLean School and then over, I think that's what you're saying, Allison Spring or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think you got to go across the highway, you got to cross 101.
Correct.
And then what happens there, I don't even know. Like,
Right.
it seems like that would be county, right? Out
And-
there by,
And that's the part that I can look into.
yeah.
Can you go back to slide 6? So just for, this is what we looked at in terms of criteria. Go up one. Provide connectivity and benefit regional trail system, add trails to underserved areas, increase total miles of trails, provide safe and accessible trails, utilize the $2 million and increase level of service in terms of acres per resident. So that's the that's the lens in which we
Right.
looked at identifying potential projects.
Yeah, I mean, there's a tension there, I guess, right, between underserved areas and then being the most connected. Because if you're
Correct.
trying to maximize connectivity, those are served areas.
Agreed.
Versus dropping one in the middle of, this proposal, and I see the strategic value of that, and you're serving people that have no trail, but you're not connecting to anything, so there's, I guess there's a kind of a trade-off there.
But I think you have to, it's relative of what they're connecting to, because it's like one of the things that we got a lot out of when we were doing outreach in South County is that lack of service there, lack of trails. And, Little Rock, Rochester, Grand Mountain, all of those areas are like, the community members are really invested in trying to provide trails and like a network of system for those communities. And
They're connected to the heritage preserve.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge value added, I believe, not just for South County, for
I think it becomes a destination,
Right.
and that's a destination site too.
So, I'd like Commissioner Mejia to
Yep.
see this and
So
hear her
I'm
thoughts.
thinking probably by September 27th, during the agenda setting, I will bring this item for consideration. She stated that she will probably try to watch this
Yeah, that makes
conversation. At
sense.
that point, there is a couple of additional information that the board requested, maybe we can have that ready by then.
Yeah, I mean, tentatively, I think you guys probably making a strong case from my perspective, but I would like to kind of just hear Commissioner Mejia and maybe hear if there's anything of capital for us that, that we didn't get it, that we didn't know about, and then we can all just kind of think about it. Sound good to you, Commissioner Edwards?
Yes, it does. I like your concept of trying to make things connect better than stand alone.
Yeah.
I do question maybe under criteria on that whole list, where it says increase total miles of trail. I don't know, maybe denote paved versus gravel, that kind of thing. Potential costs, we've got to replace 14, bridges or whatever. I mean, I think we need a little more information when we make these decisions about how long that trail possibly would sit vacant. And I don't mean vacant because a lot of times you're going to have people that do utilize it, but it doesn't really go anywhere. And so it serves a pretty small group versus if it was connected up like Commissioner Mentzer is referring to.
And is it possible that, maybe you've done this, but is it possible to call the Tumwater Parks manager and just so we, if they had some big plan that they're, gonna write, a year or two away, that we would at least know about that?
Yeah, I'll follow up with them.
Just say, what's your vision and timelines for developing the trails that you have that might connect to this? And then we'd have a sense of what Commissioner Edwards just said, how long this might just sit there,
Isn't this a part of conversations that are taking place at TRPC that you guys are participating
Yeah.
on, where that information is?
yeah, TRPC is currently doing an update to the regional trail systems, and which is where we got a lot of the information for this, for these projects. So they're currently working on that and been sitting in numerous meetings about the regional trail systems and,
Who's the
they're-
Tumwater rep on there? Commissioner Edwards for us, right? Commissioner Edwards, you got TRPC?
Yes, sir.
Staff.
Do you know who the Tumwater rep is? Well, I mean, yeah, staff's probably more important, but just so I know who the council member is. Oh, well, I'll figure it out.
Early growth.
I don't know who it is. I can check.
There's the mayor, the mayor committee used to be in TRPC, but
He has a position, but it's not, it's like an I can't remember, it's an
Emeritus?
honorary, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So are we ready to adjourn? I have to run to another meeting. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much, everybody. Good
Thank
job.
you.
We're adjourned.